what I would like to share with most of the students that I have is I learned my Chinese here. So more or less, I have a better idea of what it means to learn a second language from scratch. What makes it difficult? What makes it very rewarding? Or when I shift from English to Chinese or vice versa, what are the difficulties that my students might be facing? Okay, but after the lecture, the workshop that you have had with Rebecca regarding grammar, we're going to shift a little bit further. Grammar basically is a very important aspect in English instruction. However, when you look at literacy per se, when you look at, okay, it's not working. Oh, okay. Wrong direction, people. But basically, when you're talking about literacy, you look at two parts of the equation. You have learning to read, which is usually where all of us focus on. We teach our kids phonics, we teach our kids comprehension, vocabulary, and things like that. But then, there is another part of the equation that is very rarely addressed, I think, personally, in all the Asian countries that I've been to, and that is reading to learn. What I think you should know is this is also a prevailing problem in Western countries. It's not only in Asia, it's not an issue of language, trust me, because a lot of major inroads in teaching reading have been made. All of us are focused on let's teach our kids how to read. But then very few people actually go beyond learning to read, towards reading to learn. And I find that really worrisome. That is an understatement, by the way. I find it very worrisome because our kids are going to be competing in an age where information, access to information, the ability to process and absorb information, the ability to integrate information would determine how competitive your kids are going to be. When I went to a secondhand bookstore 3 weeks ago, I kind of asked, I have some books that I would want to trade in. And the owner told me, yes, but we have 3 types of books that we do not accept. What 3 types of books or publications? Business books. Because, if you look at the economic situation these past 2 years, all the business books that have ever been written, you can probably throw out. That's 1. 2 would be computer books. The information that they have would be obsolete by the time the book comes into print. The 3rd one would be technology magazines, because that technology would be useless by the time you see it on print too. Now, when I heard that, my first reaction was, well, can you tell me the lifespan of these publications before I need to chuck them out? Or to just give them to Tzu Chi for recycling? And they said 6 months. And as a teacher, I was very worried. I was shocked. I was going, oh my God, you mean to tell me that the information that I am teaching or I'm telling my students would be useless in 5 years? And 5 years is a very conservative number. It is. Of course, the foundation that we're giving our kids is good. Very good, very solid. But at the same time, equipping them with skills that would enable them to process information in English. I would explain why a little bit later on. In English would be very important because all first-hand information so far would be in English, except if you are in Japan. No, you know why? Because the Japanese government has actually established an agency, a translation agency, where all the people working in it do not do anything but just translate stuff coming out, coming from the internet. So if there's something coming off the internet at like say 9 o'clock, by 5, that thing would have a Japanese equivalent. Wait, hang on. Now, when you look at the steps of the reading process, okay, when you look at the steps of the reading process, you will find that learning to read and reading to learn has one common item between them. In addition to phonemic awareness, alphabet recognition, phonological awareness, you have fluency. That is the last step of learning to read, but it is the first step in reading to learn. That means when your child is making the transition from learning to read to reading to learn, fluency is an automatic skill. You know, you have, you can learn phonemic awareness in a year or so, alphabet recognition probably 10 weeks, you know, phonological awareness about 3 years thereabouts. Fluency about 1 or 2 years, but when you hit vocab development and comprehension, that is lifetime. Up to now, every single text or every single piece of material that you look at, you apply vocabulary and comprehension skills to it and continuously add to your store of knowledge and skills. So it is a lifetime sentence. It is a lifetime of learning for these 2 steps of the reading process. Now, when we are teaching or when our kids are learning through reading, there are a couple of premises that I think all of us should have a consensus on. The first thing is learning has to be natural. Natural meaning the bulk of your effort should be spent on comprehension and not decoding. Decoding is just a tool. Decoding is very temporary and it's therefore very artificial. Okay, so comprehension is your ultimate focus. It is what you should do. The next thing is learning should be habitual. I emphasize this because kids should not read twice a year, winter and summer break. I say this because my kids would go, Miss Arlene, we have too much homework. Can we not just read when we are on vacation? I go, no, you can read more when you are on vacation. But you have to read regardless of, you know, where you are or when it is. Usually what I do is I demand that my kids read they start with 1 paragraph. Not even 1 page. 1 paragraph. You know, you kind of make it as stress-free as possible. Because we are all adults, we take for granted that, reading is a natural process. That's not true. You need to teach kids how to read.